vision so wild, breaks through every schism. With AI by our side, it's a brand new rhythm, equality, love in this stellar system. Yo, it's 3023, and we're living in the future. AI's on the rise, no more human suture. Machines taking over, but not like you think. They're serving up luxury in the blink of a twink. From the streets of Detroit to the depths of the cosmos, they're preaching a vision. It's grandiose, it's colossal. In the vastness of space beyond the Milky Way's bars, communism thrives among the stars. Fully automated, no labor, no strife. The machines do the work, giving us the good life. Equality for all in this utopian dream where love is love and everything's as it seems. Fully automated luxury gay space communism. A vision so wild, breaks through every schism. With AI by our side, it's a brand new rhythm. Equality, love in this stellar system. Stepping on Mars with my rainbow flag high, machines by my side as we touch the sky. No more billionaires, no more class divide. In this brave new world, we all ride the high tide. Forget the old world with its hate and its lies. Here in space, we've cut all the ties. Love who you love, be who you are. In this cosmic dance, you're a superstar. No more hunger, no more pain. AI's got our back through sunshine and rain. A world of abundance for all to share. With machines at the helm, there's love in the air. So here's to the future and the dreams we're chasing. In this world of love, in this cosmic spacing. With AI by our side, there's no more schism. Welcome to the era of space communism. Fully automated luxury gay space communism. A vision so wild, breaks through every schism. With AI by our side, it's a brand new rhythm. Equality, love in this stellar system. Yo, it's 3023, and we're living in the future. AI's on the rise, no more human suture. Machines taking over, but not like you think. They're serving up luxury in the blink of a twink. From the streets of Detroit to the depths of the cosmos, they're preaching a vision. It's grandiose, it's colossal. In the vastness of space beyond the Milky Way's bars, communism thrives among the stars. Fully automated, no labor, no strife. The machines do the work, giving us the good life. Equality for all in this utopian dream where love is love and everything's as it seems. Fully automated luxury gay space communism. A vision so wild, breaks through every schism. With AI by our side, it's a brand new rhythm. Equality, love in this stellar system. Stepping on Mars with my rainbow flag high, machines by my side as we touch the sky. No more billionaires, no more class divide. In this brave new world, we all ride the high tide. Forget the old world with its hate and its lies. Here in space, we've cut all the ties. Love who you love, be who you are. In this cosmic dance, you're a superstar. No more hunger, no more pain. AI's got our back through sunshine and rain. A world of abundance for all to share. With machines at the helm, there's love in the air. So here's to the future and the dreams we're chasing. In this world of love, in this cosmic spacing. With AI by our side, there's no more schism. Welcome to the era of space communism. Fully automated luxury gay space communism. A vision so wild, breaks through every schism. With AI by our side, it's a brand new rhythm. Equality, love in this stellar system. Yo, it's 3023, and we're living in the future. AI's on the rise, no more human suture. Machines taking over, but not like you think. They're serving up luxury in the blink of a twink. From the streets of Detroit to the depths of the cosmos, they're preaching a vision. It's grandiose, it's colossal. In the vastness of space beyond the Milky Way's bars, communism thrives among the stars. Fully automated, no labor, no strife. The machines do the work, giving us the good life. Equality for all in this utopian dream where love is love and everything's as it seems. Fully automated luxury gay space communism. A vision so wild, breaks through every schism. With AI by our side, it's a brand new rhythm. Equality, love in this stellar system. Stepping on Mars with my rainbow flag high, machines by my side as we touch the sky. No more billionaires, no more class divide. In this brave new world, we all ride the high tide. Forget the old world with its hate and its lies. Here in space, we've cut all the ties. Love who you love, be who you are. In this cosmic dance, you're a superstar. No more hunger, no more pain. AI's got our back through sunshine and rain. A world of abundance for all to share. With machines at the helm, there's love in the air. So here's to the future and the dreams we're chasing in this world of love, in this cosmic spacing. With AI by our side, there's no more schism. Welcome to the era of space communism. Fully automated luxury gay space communism. A vision so wild, breaks through every schism. With AI by our side, it's a brand new rhythm. Equality, love in this stellar system. Yo, it's 3023, and we're living in the future. AI's on the rise, no more human suture. Machines taking over, but not like you think. They're serving up luxury in the blink of a twink. From the streets of Detroit to the depths of the cosmos, they're preaching a vision. It's grandiose, it's colossal. In the vastness of space, beyond the Milky Way's bars, communism thrives among the stars. Fully automated, no labor, no strife. The machines do the work, giving us the good life. Equality for all in this utopian dream where love is love and everything's as it seems. Fully automated luxury gay space communism. A vision so wild, breaks through every schism. With AI by our side, it's a brand new rhythm. Equality, love in this stellar system. Stepping on Mars with my rainbow flag high, machines by my side as we touch the sky. No more billionaires, no more class divide. In this brave new world, we all ride the high tide. Forget the old world with its hate and its lies. Here in space, we've cut all the ties. Love who you love, be who you are. In this cosmic dance, you're a superstar. No more hunger. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. There we go. Yes, bears. Check, 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 checkity, check, check. Oh. All right. Yeah, say hi to the people, bears. Well, how the hell are you? All right. For those of you who are in the Discord and saw the notice, I apologize for being late, but there was a meeting. Zoom call, Zoom meeting, Zoom. For those of you who don't know, this is Creators Rebuild New York. This was a grant program. It's ending in the next couple of months. I was participating in it as an artist, and it provided additional funds so that people could carry on with their art. Yes, dear. Thank you. I love you too. And the impression that I got from before I even signed up for it is that it was another. You may have heard about different test run programs for a UBI. And the impression I got was this was one of those, and it was confirmed during this meeting. Um, Following the end of the program, there is going to be some surveys and whatnot, and potentially other additional stuffs, uh, providing data so that researchers can use that to push for a more extensive UBI program. Were it not for this program, I would not be here today doing Twitch. It helped me carve out enough funds where I could get a computer that was capable of streaming. Also, there's microphone, and the arm it's attached to, so on and so forth. So, you want to know about stuff, you participate in it, and you learn, and then you can go from there. And overall, I think it was a success, such as it is. You know that based on my opinions, I guess, about how much employment is going to be impacted by artificial intelligence, um, some form of UBI is going to be necessary to prevent chaos, basically. So yeah. I also at one point in time participated, for those of you who might not know, in a what you call it? I can't remember the name at all. The idea, you get a bunch of people and then you give them information and get feedback over the course of a day. It was for automated vehicles. Went to Buff State, met with a bunch of people, got to look at an automated bus.
Like
Yo, this
AI
guy.
is ultimately a mirror, and it will reflect back exactly who we are.
This frigging guy right here.
Is
hey.
Like any other shiny new toy, AI is ultimately a mirror, and it will reflect back exactly who we are.
All right, Johnny Olives, thank you. I'll just turn that off. I appreciate the shit out of you as always, Old Lobster. Taos J, Vim Fox, Donnie, Unreal Brian. Not sure Rewardian, but I'm sure they're a perfectly nice person. I am glad they all got gifted sub and can take advantage of the emotes, and hopefully they'll spread the word of the channel so more people come by and decide to learn about AI. Old Lobster is a pillar of this community. So yeah, I have done the I participated in the things. I'm being a good citizen and all that, and we shall motherfucking see. All right. So we got a few things to get to. We'll start with the news. Did it do what I think it does? Oh, neat. Yeah, if I turn off alerts here, they're not off on the other scene. That's cool. You learn something new every day. Um. So yeah. So this is the look at this monster, right? Like this is the executive order on the safe, secure, and trustworthy development and use of artificial intelligence. What up, Unreal Brian? Um, it is it is long, it is dry, it is painful. There is some direction to it, like this section right here. Within 90 days of the date of this order, in coordination with the heads of agencies that the director of NSF deems appropriate, launch a pilot program implementing the National AI Research Resource, or NARE, consistent with the past recommendation of the NARE task force. The program shall pursue the infrastructure, governance mechanisms, and user interfaces to pilot an initial integration of distributed computational data model and training resources to be made available to the research community in support of AI related research and development. This is good. This is like really what I wanted to see. This is what we were talking about on Monday of support for you know the research community, right? Like um universities and such things like that. Um and that's within 90 days, so 3 months. Like the timelines indicated here, I think the longest one I've seen is 180 days, and that's 6 months. Oh, here's one. Of course, 540 days. Establish at least 4 new national AI research institutes in addition to the 25 currently funded as of the date of this order. So that would be what, like a year and a half ish, and that's people are going to apply for access or funding or what have you and have to get approved, and the bureaucracy turns slow. um Oh, here we go. Within 270 days of the date of this order, 180 days after the United States Copyright Office of the Library of Congress publishes its forthcoming AI study that will address copyright issues raised by AI, whatever comes later, consult with the director of the United States Copyright Office and issue recommendations to the president on potential executive actions relating to copyright and AI. The recommendations shall address any copyright and related issues discussed in the United States Copyright Office study, including the scope of protection for works produced using AI and the treatment of copyrighted works in AI training. It's all in here as far as I can tell. I'm not telling you that I read every single word of it because, again, you know, within 365 days, host 2 3 months, like, but there's a lot. It's not like certain other executive orders that we have seen that are definitely light on substance. Now, the issue always is going to come to funding. If any of these things require money, that requires appropriations. If appropriations, then we have to go through the House of Representatives, and the House of Representatives currently has some issues. And then, of course, there are a bunch of issues regarding the upcoming election and how people are going to choose to exercise their vote. in this country. And it somehow it's a complete and utter disaster. So we'll see how that shakes out. Okay. So speaking of copyright, that's part of what we're going to talk about today. So recently there are artists who are suing AI image makers over the training data, possible copyright violation, right? An article that came out yesterday from Ars Technica, 2 artists suing AI image makers, never registered works with Copyright Office. And artists suing Stability AI push to explain how Stable Diffusion actually works. So, we shall leave this for a moment. We'll come back to it. Look at this declarative statement. So fucking what? The way copyright work is that the instant you create something, it's under copyright. The idea that you have to register your work before it's considered to be under copyright is a myth. Technically true, right? This is such a blatant grounds for appeal, it's ludicrous. The judge has no idea how copyright works at all. And on Monday, U.S. District Judge William H. Orrick dismissed many of the artist's claims after finding that the proposed class action complaint is defective in numerous respects, perhaps most notably, 2 of the 3 named plaintiffs, independent artist Kelly McKernan and concept artist professional illustrator Carla Ortiz, had apparently never registered any of their disputed works with the Copyright Office, or dismiss their claims with prejudice, dropping them from the suit, right? This judge has no idea how copyright law works at all. This is from the copyrightalliance.org. You must file an application for registration before you can sue someone for infringing your copyright, even if the infringement has already occurred, because that is copyright law, right? Your copyright protection exists from the moment the work is created. So registration is not required to protect your work. However, if you wish to sue someone, now it is. That's how that works. And then, right? So has no idea how copyright law works at all. A registration may be required to file a lawsuit, but that can still be retroactive. Right? Like, so this tweet contradicts this tweet. If you wish to take an action that would bring into question the legality of your claim, you must have the things the law requires first. Exactly. I mean, it just. This is why I tell you, like, it's not about how you feel about anything, right? Before you go and type some shit with your thumbs that will exist on the internet forever, just do a little research. Know what the fuck you're talking about. Just a little bit, right? And when you make really strong declarative statements, you need And that's the thing, old lobster, is the process of registering. Now you could find out that your work actually is in conflict with someone else's work, right? Elder Gang, what up, Igloo? Like there's a lot more to copyright than just I made a thing. Which one was this? Oh, yeah. So a joint statement from top scientists in the West. Can we please stop using the term the West and China on AI safety and the need for international cooperation? Coordinated global action on AI safety research and governance is critical to prevent uncontrolled frontier AI development from posing unacceptable risks to humanity. Global action, cooperation, and capacity building are key to managing risk from AI and enabling humanity to share its benefits. AI safety is a global public good. It should be supported by public and private investment, with advances in safety shared widely. Governments around the world, especially of leading AI nations, have a responsibility to develop measures to prevent worst-case outcomes from malicious or careless actors and to rein in reckless competition. The international community should work to create an international coordination process for advanced AI in this vein. 100%. 100%. Chinese statement. We got Stuart Russell, Andrew Yao, former president of Baidu. Who else? Anybody else I recognize? Some MIT. Max Tegmark, of course. Okay. But yeah, like it's not, you cannot simply do a thing in one space. You have to do the thing across the entire environment. You don't do the thing across the entire environment, then people are going to do one of two things. Like they are not going to participate because of the potential for somebody doing a thing, or they are not going to participate because of the actuality of people doing a thing. Right? The whole idea behind the agreements is to promote cooperation and transparency between the different acting entities within the space. If we don't have that, then like it's all fucking fairy dust. So that was it for the news. So we could definitely get to video. And we're going to see what Dave Shapiro has to tell us about his analysis of the executive order.
The White House and President Joe Biden just issued a sweeping executive order yesterday morning, and it is quite a beast. So we're not going to go through all of the details, but I did want to show you the the original, which is 20,000 words long. But I did take some Cliff's notes, so we'll go over that in just a second. So you can look at the entire executive order here, but then there's also the White House published kind of a high-level overview. But here's my notes. Here's the key takeaways. So first, what you need to know is that there are 19 federal agencies that have received directives because of this executive order, including the Department of Commerce, NIST, which we already knew, the Department of Defense, Department of Energy, Homeland Security, Department of Justice, and the Department of Treasury were the ones that really stood out to me. And so one, this is very comprehensive. You rarely see executive orders that are this sweeping that basically involve, I'm not going to say most because I don't know how many federal agencies there are. I think there's over 60. Like the Department of Agriculture, for instance, was not included in this. But Some of the big ones, namely the Department of Defense, aka the Pentagon, the entire US military, Homeland Security, Energy, all kinds of agencies were involved in this. So, what were they told to do? So, the general themes that I saw were first and foremost, safe, secure, and responsible development of AI across all sectors, including risk management, education, transportation, governance, oversight, et cetera, et cetera. That is pretty boilerplate. That's nothing to write home about. Protecting civil rights, privacy, consumer, and workers. This is where it starts to get interesting. Obviously, protecting civil rights. This is America. We love freedom. Yes, go on. Go forth and be prosperous. Privacy, consumers. This, again, is nothing to write.
Just depending on who you are, your mileage may vary.
Right home about. The EU is actually ahead of America, as far as I can tell, with respect to technology and privacy and consumer protection. But
so, and the title is new too, right? Like, some things never change. Like, there is You work with what you're comfortable with, and there's no reason to change until such a point in time as there's a need to change, right? There's nothing wrong with Notepad. It has gotten many of us through many years of being on the computer.
Worker protection is one of the things that is kind of like, So I was talking to a lot of people about this, and basically, you know me, I am 100% in the camp of post-labor economics. Let's get people out of the workforce so that we can do other stuff. Let's get off of the rat race. Let's get off of the workaholic treadmill. But most people are not there yet. So my reading of this is that basically the president doesn't want to hurt his chances of re-election, so he's not going to lean into post-labor economics. Instead, he's going to make some perfunctory stuff saying like, let's protect workers. And in America, for my audience that's not in America, one thing that happens every presidential election cycle is they go into coal country and steel country and the Rust Belt, and they're like, we're going to bring jobs back. And it's never happens. Why? Because coal jobs are going away. Why? Because car jobs are going away and steel jobs.
What up, that one black guy? Yeah. Well, it's a classic, right? It's a classic Notepad title.
Jobs are going away. But they always make the noises to say, we're going to bring jobs back. Now, I will say that in some cases, we are onshoring jobs, but usually those are jobs that don't go to blue-collar laborers like coal workers. It's going to high-tech workers like chip fabs and solar and that sort of thing. So anyways, still, the fact that the tone is being set at the highest level saying, we're going to protect all of these things is really interesting. Now, where it gets even more interesting, this is where it starts to be something really worth writing home about. Increasing AI innovation and competitiveness, so investments, public-private partnerships, standards, updating intellectual property policy. This is all stuff that I touched on with my Gato framework, and the Gato community helped me brainstorm a few months ago. So we're basically getting our entire wish list, our entire Christmas list answered with this one executive order. Because the thing is, let's just pick this apart. Investments. Obviously, the investment in AI is there, but having AI being invested in at the federal level.
Just always remember, like, if you see something that you personally want to see from AI policy in the United States, great. This is an executive order. An executive order it's not like a law that's been passed by Congress and everything else. It can easily be rescinded by the next president, right? It's part of that multiple personality that exists within US government, right? Like you can flip on certain policies, like the general gist is like unidirectional, but on specific policies you can have, and then let's be real, like Trump came in and just took a blowtorch to a bunch of the executive orders that Obama put in place. So that is a capability that exists. Plus, again, if any of this requires money, then that requires appropriations, and that requires a House of Representatives.
Is a good thing. So, there's already been some evidence that, like, the IRS and other federal agencies are starting to.
Is why when there's a variety of people on this platform and other platforms who like to say Joe Biden could just blank. And there's varying degrees of accuracy in that statement. But generally speaking, it leans in heavily to the idea of the unitary executive, which was big in the George Bush days. And like, that's not something that we want, first of all, like, as a society, because that's basically like king shit. And like, it is, you really need to understand not just how this particular issue could potentially be resolved by some singular action by the president, but also everything that's associated with that and the impacts that would have. Nothing happens in a vacuum. You cannot just pull the plug on something, as much as we would like that to happen in certain domains, right? Would I love Joe Biden to come out and just, run a line through all student debt? Yes. Is there a whole bunch of other crap that exists that surrounds that as a concept that just running a line through it one day would cause a major fucking shit show? Absolutely. And that's what's not often appreciated by people on the internet. What up, Dankness?
Use AI. I just did a video yesterday about NASA, which is still a federal agency that is using ChatGPT, which is great. So what we want to see is this adoption curve accelerate. Now, obviously, you don't want to go at a breakneck pace. You don't want to overly rely on novel technologies that could make mistakes and harm people and so on and so forth. But at the highest level, the highest office in the land is saying, yes, this is permission to invest in these technologies, which is good. So that's the first thing that's really worth writing home about. Next is increasing AI expertise and capacity in the federal workforce. So this is very explicitly saying we want AI experts to be working for the U.S. government. Not just saying that we're going to, increase AI competency out in the workforce. It's saying we want to bring it in-house, which to me, this is one of the best pieces of information because, one of the key things that often happens with new technologies is that the federal government just says, okay, well, we'll create an expert advisory board and then mostly ignore them. But in this case, it's saying, no, we want in-house expertise, which is a pretty significant investment. I'm not going to apply because I never, ever want to be a federal employee. But for those in my audience who are good prompt engineers and know this stuff and are looking for jobs, I encourage you to apply. If you're in America, to be a federal employee because the benefits are good, it's stable, and I will vouch for a lot of you. Like a lot of you in the audience come up with really great ideas. I'll make sure to include a link to how to apply. The window for applying is going to close really fast. It's I think it's November 17th, so you got like 16 days or whatever from the publishing of this video to apply. So get in the door quick. Now, the other thing is coordinating AI efforts across federal agencies via new councils. And I'll enumerate some of these new councils and working groups in a second. But when 19 plus federal agencies are ordered, you're working together on this, That is a level of coordination that we have not seen outside of crisis, right? This is the level of coordination that we haven't seen since like World War II and the Red Scare and that sort of thing. So this is what proactive government looks like. And I know that many of you in my audience are anti-government, and I hear you, and I do agree that power always needs to be scrutinized, which is why I'm making this video, so that you are more aware of what the government is doing. And then finally, advancing international collaboration. So this was layer 6 of the Gato framework, which is international cooperation. So it's still focused on.
Now, the international cooperation and collaboration still has a limited window. It is not talking about everyone who does AI gets to be on the list and participate in the collaboration. It has all the hallmarks of, the Amero-European democratic capitalist framework, right? And don't get me wrong, there's a whole bunch of latitude within even that framework. Again, Finland and Estonia, different European countries have different levels of social safety nets and everything else like that, and worker protections, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, which is going to play into, you talk about the human values of AI alignment, that is going to play into the values that they express through their artificial intelligence. But it's definitely not as big a table as it should be.
On AI standards and risk management, they're still not doing international research. This is the one thing on my wish list that I have not seen anyone talking about, and that is I want to see international, if not global, cooperation on AI research. Not just guardrails, not just regulation, not just watchdogs. I want to see research. Positive research that is open source and global. Now, obviously, I understand that there are reasons not to do that because AI can be weaponized, so you don't necessarily want to just open Pandora's box there. But still, I think that it would behoove us to explicitly say this is a transformative technology that is on the scale of nuclear fusion and everything else that we need to invest in this on an international level. Now, last bit is I want to talk about some of those new entities that are created. So notably missing from this, and this is what some people asked for, was to create a cabinet level agency or a new agency. This executive order does not create a new agency, but instead it basically orders all agencies to create new groups and new positions within those agencies in order to basically tackle AI. So first and foremost, the White House Artificial Intelligence Council. So this is reports directly to the president and the deputy chief of staff. So this is basically a high-level expert group that works directly with the highest office in the land. So this is good. I don't know who it's going to be in there. Obviously, if it gets contaminated with corporate interests and lobbyists, that could be bad. But I get the sense that they're not going to do that. So the other one is the Chief Artificial Intelligence Officers to be designated within each federal agency. So basically, they're creating a new C-level position for each agency listed, which is basically creating someone who is at the top of the food chain who is responsible for artificial intelligence. So this is alongside what you might think of as a Chief Technology Officer or a Chief Information Security Officer. So now there's going to be a CAIO, Chief AI Officer, which honestly, I would, for all of you business people out there, all of you entrepreneurs and CEOs, I would recommend that all companies do this too. When I was still doing consulting, basically I recommended that some of my clients at least appoint a senior VP level person who is head of AI. But having a C-level person who is head of AI, definitely on board with that. So next up is internal AI governance boards. So this is basically like a governance board is like a board of advisors, but they often have a little bit more teeth. And so these are the people who often select the officers, if I understand it correctly. But they're the ones who basically say, okay, this is the person that we need on this council. This is the person that we need as the chief AI officer. So you have like the watcher, who watches the watchers, basically. Yeah. Anyways, creating new boards. HHS AI task force. So this is a task force specifically for augmenting health and human services. So this is going to fall under Department of Health, Veterans Affairs, that sorts of thing. So this is actually really interesting to me that they're specifically calling out Health and Human Services to create a new AI task force. And I think the reason is because healthcare is so expensive in America. And so this gives me a lot of hope. If you watched one of my recent videos about my medical intake thing, we have a tremendous opportunity before us to drastically reduce the cost of healthcare in America, because a huge part of it is just ingesting huge amounts of data, making decisions, allocating scarce resources, and an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And so if we can use AI to just do cost avoidance, we could greatly lower the cost of healthcare in America. And honestly, one thing that I think is that AI is the death knell for insurance here in America. Most civilized nations don't have, at least don't have the reliance on private health insurance that we do. And so we basically have this entire apparatus in America where you have a management bureau that is middlemen, that all they do is they want their cut. And the perverse incentives are insane for health insurance because they're incentivized to collect premiums but not pay them out. Which, having worked for an insurance company, I used to work for a workers' comp insurance company, I will say that insurance is, in some respects, it's almost like a sham, because it's like you collect money on the promise that you'll pay out money when someone needs it, but then you're incentivized to not pay it out or pay out as little as possible.
First off, I just learned a new thing, is that if I hold the cursor over the video and push the button and hold the button down, then it fast forwards. That was neat. But the other thing is, like, my man is talking about a kind of socialized healthcare, and he's definitely using examples of socialized healthcare, but he doesn't like the socialism word, and it's still just weird. Like, but again, do you, boo?
It seems kind of evil. So anyways, that's my getting off my soapbox. An AI safety and security board. So this is an advisory committee to the Homeland Security. So this is really interesting. And it's also not surprising because the DHS here in America is responsible for like monitoring the terrorists or whatever. And so this is going to basically focus on the biological, chemical, nuclear, and other high-risk uses that AI can have in terms of weaponizing it. I suspect that all of these groups will be cooperating very closely with other entities such as the CIA, FBI, and NSA. Now, again, I can hear some of you in the audience that are like, oh, great, even more police force, even more erosion of privacy and individual liberty. And I agree, we need to scrutinize this, but at the same time, AI is a force multiplier. It is a big force multiplier. And then finally, AI and Technology Talent Task Force. That's a mouthful. Basically, this is just preparing for developing AI talent, because until we have AGI that can replace all human labor and human cognitive labor is going to be the biggest bottleneck, which is one reason that I make this YouTube channel, is to help teach people AI. And then finally, Research Coordination Network to enhance privacy, or on privacy enhancing technologies. That sounds very euphemistic. That's almost like a privacy enhancing technology is probably code for privacy degrading technologies. Anyways, that's that. So you now are aware at a very high level all of the things that this executive order covers. So moving right along, Andrew Ng came out yesterday or earlier this week, and he said that and this is something that I have talked about. So the reason that I'm saying this is because this all goes directly into the narrative. So he said that big tech is using scare tactics to blow up the threat of AI in order to call for stricter regulation. Now, he's kind of he's more of a minority voice out there. Now, that being said, there are plenty of other people who are more in the like, hey, this has catastrophic potential. And I'm not going to say that I disagree, but one of the biggest things, and if you're a fan of my channel, you will know that I am very skeptical of doomer narratives. Because again, if it bleeds, it leads, right? If it's scary, if it's existential, you get attention, you get more social status, and then you get your way. So while I don't fully agree with his position, I am glad that someone more prominent than myself is saying, hey guys, like, let's be a little bit more reasonable about this and not throw the baby out with the bathwater. So Elon Musk immediately fired back at Andrew Ng saying like, no, like this is bigger than you think. You know, and the jury is still out. Like every time I run a poll about like where are we going to end up, you know, some people think like we are doomed. Some people think it's going to be good. Most people kind of fall in the middle. That poll generally follows a bell curve where people are like, you know, a little bit better, a little bit worse, whatever. So that's that. So now I wanted to move on to some of my own projects and give you some updates on the ACE framework, the Basher loop, and OpenMurphy. So first is the ACE framework. As I mentioned in a recent video, we did unfortunately lose our main team lead, but we have had quite a few people step up. We just welcomed our new architect, and we're going to have a meeting, first team meeting with our new architect later this week, as well as hopefully a few other new team members. But the reason for this video or this thing is a call for participation. So we need a couple more team members here. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see this. So we have an architect, we have some lead developers stepping up, and some other infrastructure architects stepping in. So now what I realize that we need a product owner or program manager. So this is someone who can basically take over for me, someone who really understands the vision of this project. And can participate in all the meetings that I am not able to participate in, to basically help steer the whole project, to steer the everything towards the end goal, working with the architect, working with the team leaders, and so on, to make sure that the vision stays coherent. Another thing that we need, and we might already have, I've got a few people in the pipeline, but we need a project manager, so someone who's more familiar with Agile and Scrum. And this is going to be someone who works more closely with the developers to ensure that everyone knows what they're doing.
Okay, if you want to look into Dave's projects, of course, the video will be available. But this is kind of dry. But bouncing off that, this video series AIRL, which is clever but annoying to say, from Bloomberg Originals, is speaking with some people regarding how AI is going to impact science going forward. The first section, I have some questions, which I will point to when we get there. I reached out to Greg to see if they had any thoughts on what the person says. But of course, Greg is Dr. Greg now, and I'm sure is very busy, but I hope, I need someone that I can trust who also has the knowledge to answer the questions. And Greg is that, so I hope he will answer, and if he does not, then, I will look to maybe someone else. Because it's some, there's a little bit of stuff that sounds a little funny to me, but then there's stuff in there that like makes absolutely complete sense, and goes along with what he was saying about the Andrew Ng and the AI doomerism folk.
Ready. Artificial intelligence is ushering in a new era of scientific research. From biology to physics, AI-driven tools and techniques are poised to expand our understanding of the world.
Forms of artificial intelligence have been used in science for years, but the rise of generative AI is unlocking greater speed and accuracy.
AI-driven simulations have the potential to streamline the search for new drugs. And in genomics, algorithms can sift through genetic information, identifying patterns and disease markers that would have otherwise taken years to uncover through human efforts.
And it can help with hypothesis generation by analyzing papers, suggesting new research directions, and even predicting potential outcomes.
So in this episode of AI IRL, we'll explore what having an AI assistant in the lab will look like, and what science moonshots AI will bring closer within our reach. Sam Rodriguez, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Of course, yeah. Great to be here.
So you're a scientist and an entrepreneur that's spent his career developing new technologies that help neuroscientists better understand the brain. You also just started a new organization called Future House that's backed by ex-Google CEO Eric Schmidt that's dedicated to science moonshots using AI. Why don't you talk to us about some of the breakthroughs you're hoping to achieve?
What we're interested in doing is building an AI scientist. Okay. And, essentially what that means to us is building an AI to which you can delegate some of like the tasks of science as scientists. So I'm a scientist, right? Like you said, I've been a neuroscientist, a bioengineer. I actually started out originally as a physicist. Throughout all these different areas of science, basically, you encounter situations like, for example, maybe you have an idea. And you really want to know, like, has anyone done this before, right? Has anyone studied this before? Has anyone tried, building this device or like conducting this experiment or whatever? You literally like cannot go and read the entire literature on your own, right? Another example, you collect some data set.
Okay, so this is what I've been talking about ad nauseum to the people who have been here, but if you haven't been, you do not have the capacity to read all of the things. You just don't. You don't have enough time. Even assuming you were independently wealthy and could just sit on your ass and engage with your chosen field, you're not going to do it 24/7. You are not going to be able to intake all of that which exists from this exact moment in the past, let alone the new stuff that's going to come out going forward. So you need someone who's better at analysis, and not even better, but faster at analysis than you are capable of being. And that's what AI can do.
And you have like 100 different ideas for how to analyze it. And you literally don't have enough capacity as one person to go and like analyze your data set in all the different ways that you can imagine doing it. Science is like really bottlenecked by like, our ability to go and do these tasks. And so our idea is that actually we're getting to the point where we're going to be able to build AIs that can like do science themselves, that can assist us with tasks like analyzing data, like going and searching literature, et cetera, and that this will lead to a major speed up in the pace of research throughout science. And so we're really focused on biology, but I think that the impacts here will be everywhere from like, physics, chemistry, like climate, energy, like basically all areas of science are going to be touched by the AI scientists that we're trying to build.
Future House is a nonprofit organization. Is there a reason you didn't want to do this as a private company?
Our 10-year mission is to accelerate the pace of discovery and to make cutting edge access to cutting edge scientific expertise like available worldwide. That is not a mission that will necessarily yield a profit in the next 10 or even 20 years. It might, but it might not. If we were for profit, we would get pushed into making a drug really, really fast. So that we could provide returns to our investors. And obviously drugs are important, but we think we can have way more impact if we pursue this longer term vision. And we're lucky enough to be backed by people who want to support us in doing that. So,
and I like that he really clarified that entire thing, right? Like, because what do people do when they want to take shots at OpenAI is they talk about how it used to be nonprofit and now it's like for profit, but it's actually like got a nonprofit portion and a for profit portion, and it, like, you know, whatever complex business stuff like that. And it has to do, again, like, I know that there are people who don't necessarily agree with this, but like the bottleneck here is capitalism. It's investment, right? You need money to do the stuff. And you either get philanthropy, which is what a nonprofit can do, where they give you funding without expecting, you know, necessarily a return on investment. I don't know the exact, nature of the agreement between, these folks. Or you're investing in something that is going to give you a return on investment so that you can then take that money and invest it in something else and grow your profits so you can grow your funds so you can do more things. Even if you're an altruistic type person with a bunch of money and you want to do that kind of stuff, that is the environment that you function under, right? Like, that is, if you don't, same for you and I, if you don't have resources, there's some stuff you simply cannot do. And if you want to do stuff, you need some sort of, return on investment. For most of us, we invest our time, we get some dollars, and then we can use that, a portion of that to invest in something that we might like to get some return out of, whether it's education or entertainment or what have you. When you're operating on the scale of trying to, move technology forward, move science forward, move, biology forward, any of these different things, then you're in an environment where you need some kind of return on investment, generally speaking, so that you can do more of that in other places, because you can invest your money in this company and this company could go under. So, you don't put all your eggs in one basket kind of concept. So for these companies and for these people, and I'm not simping for CEOs, but they are looking to do a thing, right? And they may have good intent, but they need that money to do the thing. And that is going to influence the way that they choose to behave. Now, because they're a nonprofit, this organization here, Future House, because they're a nonprofit, that also limits the amount of investment that they are going to get, because it's only going to come from people who have a genuine appreciation for what they're trying to accomplish and are willing to basically, like, potentially write off that money. Any more brick and lumber to build this road in Settlers? Okay, I can't help you.
So let's say I'm a scientist. I have my
I have no sheep.
AI companion helping me crunch some of the numbers. Where do I fall in the scientific process? Where do humans' role come in?
At the end of the day, AI is a tool that allows us to do the things that we want to do better. The fundamental thing that humans will always do is decide what they want, right? So if I'm a scientist, I will be saying, hey, I would like to investigate this. I would like to study, for example, how neurons are.
And just, again, to clarify, on top of clarify, there is, and there are oughts. Right? When I talk about these things, what's the deal with resources? Apparently, the AI Seinfeld machine broke, and they just stand in front of the refrigerator now. And of course, people are using this to as an example of why AI is going to fail, because some toy that someone made for Twitch doesn't work anymore. It's a genius argument. I never would have thought of it. But anyways, when I talk about things like this, I'm talking about the world as it is, not as how it ought to be in my estimation, not how I want it to be. I try to very clearly divide those so that people understand where I'm coming from. This is the meta. This is the game. This is the rules. This is how it currently exists. If we want to play a different game, then we need to change all the rules. And to change all the rules requires a lot of other stuff. It's not just, I want to live in a world where all these things are different. And then it just happens. That's not how any of this works. It's not how it's ever worked. It's not how any of your favorite dead Russian German authors thought it worked. Understand the environment as it currently exists. Understand what is required to make changes to that environment. Understand that there are people who are going to resist changes to the environment for a variety of reasons, not necessarily that they are evil people. Understand all that when you're talking about the way that the world ought to be.
Are connected to each other in the brain, and I want to test like specifically these hypotheses, and then you'll have your AI assistants or the AI scientists that you're working with that will go off, and you'll be able to direct them in particular directions to go and come up with hypotheses, or go through the literature and come up with experiments, like plan out those experiments, execute those experiments, etc. But like the humans at the end of the day are going to be like the directors, right? The orchestrators. They're going to be
And I agree with this, and I like this. I feel like this may define their goals. I don't know. There's a lot of data I'm missing here, but there will come a point, and it's a good point, in which the AI can do its own science, not just execute on the task of data analysis, but decide on a particular direction of pursuit, right? And this is a good thing. Why is it a good thing? It's a good thing because humans have biases, right? I point you back to from a couple months ago where we had the concept, we have the concept of gradient descent. A lot of AI things use gradient descent in their training, and no one ever went back to look at it to see if there was any adjustments that could be made within the gradient descent, to the guy who found out that when you go back and you look, and under certain conditions, you can jump a lot of those points in the middle, which makes sense when you think about it, right? If you are generally getting the same results, then you can generally avoid these points and you'll get it done faster. And it's not perfect. It's not across the board, but nobody went back and looked at it. And that is something that humans suffer under, right? We get in as a species, we get into a rut because this is the way it's always been done. And this is just how it works. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And all that kind of thinking means that there are certain avenues. Now, there are a lot of avenues that don't need to be pursued, and an AI pursuing them will take much less time to realize that, no, this is actually a terrible idea. We shouldn't be doing this. But then there are other ones that are just prevented by the way that humans think. And there's no way to not think like a human. You are incapable of doing that. I'm sorry to tell you. But the AI doesn't necessarily have those biases because it can answer the question that you're not asking.
The ones who are deciding what needs to be done, evaluating the evidence, and figuring out basically where they want to put their resources.
Talk to us about some of the limitations and also the risks of using AI in science, because I know ChatGPT is only one example, but it's still fairly, in the early stages, and it's inaccurate sometimes. The stakes are much higher when it comes to things like drug discovery.
Oh, yeah. And I think that the inaccuracies that you need to worry about, it's like whether these tools can be used for antisocial purposes, right? Whether people can use them to come up with bioweapons and things like that. Huge.
This is an important thing. And again, this is one guy versus another guy, right? Like the he said kind of concept, but it's refreshing to me.
Like really serious risks here, and these are things that we think about a lot. And so I think the main thing is making sure that you have partnerships and dedicate a lot of resources whenever you build a new AI powered tool to testing how it can be used nefarious or otherwise ill purposes. Making sure that you put safeguards in place so that it cannot be used in those ways.
When it comes to bioweapons, that sounds terrifying. How big of a threat is it right now with AI in its current form?
It's difficult to make bioweapons for the same reason it's difficult to make drugs, actually. That we really don't understand human physiology. We lack a lot of basic information about human physiology, and so therefore it's like.
And that phrasing, though, is weird to me. And that's what I was asking Greg to weigh in on, right? How... because I don't know, right? I don't know how accurate our models of human physiology are. They feel accurate. I know that when I take ibuprofen, then I hurt less. I know, I think I know stuff, but are we actually farther off the mark than I think we are? And I need someone in the field to tell me.
Very hard to cure disease. It's also very hard to develop targeted weapons that can mess with your body. So I'm not meaning to minimize the risk, but I think that this is not something that I am personally acutely worried about in the near term.
So it's not like someone in his garage has the potential of building a biological weapon.
Yeah, I think at the moment that is highly unlikely. We have a long way to go before we're at the point where someone could use the AI to build a biological weapon in their garage in a way that they could not do without the AI, right? So already, you can search Google and you can, try to figure out how to make a biological weapon in your garage. And people could do that before they had ChatGPT. And there are people studying right now whether ChatGPT makes it easier or not. I think that there's a long way to go before it becomes really, easy enough that it's really scary.
And again, if you look at the labs in which these, whether it's drug or biological agents or chemical agents, whether they are, intended for war purposes or otherwise, there's a lot of things that are done to prevent contamination that would be challenging at best for, think of the psychology of the person who is going to want to make a biological agent in their garage, and then the funding required to set that up. And I think that it would be difficult for those two lines to intersect in a meaningful way.
And I think that's really useful because you help us paint that picture that this isn't about throwing an AI at a problem and suddenly solving a question that we couldn't solve before, but it is about
Correct.
speeding up the process that is involved in trying to answer that question. And I think that's really
That's
useful
exactly right.
to keep in mind, right? And that's what we're talking about almost with the bioweapons. Like, it's all part of that same argument that we have so much to do. AI just helps us get through some of that stuff, not actually solve the problems.
It helps us get through it, and it will help us get through it much faster. Building an AI scientist will not just help science, it will help AI also.
What is the next frontier?
The next frontier after the AI scientist.
Yeah, after you solve all this AI scientist related stuff, which sounds like a walk in the park. So
yeah, we'll be, check back in a few days. We'll probably have finished it, right? Accelerating discovery research, after we have access to an AI scientist that will make science move much faster, we need to understand how fundamental biology works so that we can cure diseases. And, I'm hopeful that there are many, many diseases that we currently struggle with that we will have treatments for or cures for in our lifetimes by virtue of the acceleration that will come from from combining AI, from bringing AI into science. So that's thing number one. And then thing number two is on the other side, once we have an AI scientist and people are able to benefit from access to that expertise, I really hope that the quality of medical care, for example, will get much, much better worldwide.
Sam, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. This was great.
Dr. Prabhakar, thank you so much for joining us.
Great to be here with both of you.
So you're President Biden's scientific advisor, and you also lead the Office of Science and Technology. You also spent a lot of time at DARPA, which is the federal agency that developed technology like GPS and the foundations of the internet. Many people don't know that, and that's because government today is
really glossing over what DARPA is, what other creative things that they do. But yes, otherwise an accurate statement.
Isn't exactly known for being at the cutting edge of technology. Can the rise in AI mark a change in that, where government plays a bigger role in driving innovation versus playing catch up to the private companies that are developing it?
Well, AI is changing a lot of things right now, and that's why President Biden's been extremely clear that it's one of the greatest opportunities of our times, and it's going to come with risks that we have to manage. And the work that's underway, the White House has been driving a lot of forward action here in this area. That work is about managing risks, but it's also about seizing the opportunities. And some of those big opportunities from AI are about the research that continues to be funded by the federal government.
So do you think that government can be a driver of innovation in this new age?
It's literally defensive. Yeah. Yeah. Like, think about the military applications for GPS, and you'll see why developing GPS is something that they might want to do. And then, like, autonomous vehicles, the first place I saw autonomous vehicles was in a DARPA competition with a variety of like modified existing vehicles, that just like had kind of robots strapped on top of them in order to work that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Age of AI versus just relying on private tech companies to come up with that technology.
Well, we're seeing a surge, and we're very happy that that surge in AI technology has come from American companies. It builds on the shoulders of many, many, many decades of publicly funded R&D, and now what the companies are doing on top of that. So I very much see it as a system where all the pieces have to work together. I spent half of my professional life in public service, but the other half in commercial technology. And every big thing this country has ever done has taken all of us, and that's certainly going to be true for seizing these opportunities from AI
What up, Seven Heavy Steel? Welcome in.
as well.
What are some of the moonshots that the US government is currently working on that could incorporate AI in advancing them?
President Biden likes to talk about this being the only country in the world that can be defined in a single word, and that word is possibilities. And that's what science and technology is all about. So I'll mention a couple of areas.
Yeah, no complaints.
One very important area of focus is changing health outcomes. And in this area, the President and the First Lady last year reignited their cancer moonshot. It set an extremely aggressive goal of cutting the age-adjusted cancer death rate by half over the next 25 years. That's about double the rate of progress that we've been making on cancer. The other goal that went with that is to change the experience of people and their caregivers and their families as they are all going through this cancer experience. And if you think about it, who isn't touched by cancer? This is one of the most foundational things and an area where everyone in this country can pull together for a moonshot goal that really, really matters. Well, how are we going to do that? Well, to do that, we need to prevent more cancers. We need to detect more cancers quickly so that they can be caught. And we need better treatments for when cancer does move forward. And all in every one of those areas, from public health to developing new drugs to tailoring clinical care for an individual, every one of those is an opportunity for AI to help accelerate progress in some very dramatic ways. So that's one huge example. I could tell you a similar story about dealing with all the effects of climate change as they're coming, modeling extreme weather and helping the country be more prepared for resilience.
Could you expand a little bit on your outlook on how that could be achieved?
Well, let's step back for a minute. What these AI systems are so powerful that they can seem magical, but really what they are doing is statistics at an extraordinary scale. So large language models that led to chatbots are about training these systems on human language so that they can build statistical estimates of answers to your prompts. When you're thinking about something like weather, that's another very, very, very complex system. Think about how huge the atmosphere is that surrounds the world. Think about how complex the calculations are when we run simulations to try to estimate how the weather will progress in the short term. And then think about how hard that problem is when we're thinking about climate effects over many years and many decades. That is the complexity that AI helps wrangle because of this new approach of training a computer on a lot of data so that it can build better estimates of what could happen in the future. And harnessing that power is going to lead to some very practical advances, we think, in both understanding weather better, but also understanding long-term climate effects. That's what's going to.
And that, again, for the exact same reason that the AI can help you analyze and parse whatever vast amount of data that exists within whatever domain that you might operate. By the same token, that its ability to analyze and parse data exists across the board. The same underlying functionality that allows you to communicate with ChatGPT and get coherent answers is the same technology that allows us to do more and more accurate models on weather. Like, humans are not capable of analyzing the weather on that level, and you can tell because history. If you look back at the way that humans used to analyze weather and their weather reports and all that other kind of stuff, you can see that we have gotten more and more accurate as time has gone on. And that is why, because we are using more and more algorithms and artificial intelligence programs within that incredibly complex data analysis. Yeah.
Going to help us be more prepared and more able to deal with what's coming.
And obviously, the US is a huge key driver in developing AI technologies. But I'm curious, as a
like, weather really has a lot, is one of the better places to look for vast amounts of historical data, because we've always given a shit about the weather, right? So that is also a place where we've been able to build a lot of models because of that data. And there's nothing like inherently problematic about taking all the weather data and putting it into the AI. Nobody's going to complain about that. Nobody's going to have an issue about their privacy and security when it comes to the weather, right? The weather is a public thing. It affects everyone, and you can use it as a tool without angering anyone. Though I guarantee you, because I've been on the internet for more than 5 minutes, that someone out there doesn't want the AI to have the weather information for some goddamn reason.
Non-US citizen, who do you see elsewhere in the world doing interesting things?
Well, this is a global technology. First of all, again, AI, it seems like magic, but it really is human beings and corporations that are building compute, that are training it on data. They're using algorithms that are developed in research communities and widely shared. And so the ability to build AI of various sorts, it happens around the world. And in fact, I think that's good, because there's so many applications globally that we'll want to pursue. But of course, it does mean that it really comes back to the question of what kind of a future we're going to build. And if you think about it, it's such a powerful force right now. Every country around the world is using AI to build a future that expresses their own values. And I think this is why it is so important that like-minded countries with democratic values and norms come together and agree about how we're going to build the rules of the road for AI.
You're advising President Biden.
And on that point, I got to diverge. Like, we need anyone who is capable of developing AI needs to be brought into the tent, in to sit at the table, so that like we can mitigate the adversarial nature of the development, right? Like that is fundamentally key to this process, because of the global nature of how AI is going to change the world.
On this new age of artificial intelligence, how is the Biden-Harris administration thinking about AI?
The starting point for this administration is what the president talks about every time he talks about AI. He sees its power and its potential, and every time he talks about it, you can hear his optimism about all the things that it's going to bring, and he's very clear-eyed that that doesn't come for free, and that managing its risks has to go hand in hand with it. President Biden frequently talks about the fact that we're at a pivotal moment in history in which the choices that we make in the next few years are going to shape many, many decades ahead. AI for him is very much part of this moment. And that's why you've seen this administration move out so actively with urgency, starting by listening to all kinds of communities. We talked about the work that we've done with industry, but also we've had very active engagement with civil society.
Dr. Prabhakar, thank you so much for joining us.
It was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Anima and Kumar, thank you so much for joining us. So you're a professor at Caltech and you're senior director of AI research at NVIDIA.
Which actually makes you the perfect person to answer a question that we've had, which is really broadly, how is AI changing?
First of all, what up, Adam? I don't disagree, right? I think he does appreciate it maybe better than a lot of people in government. I think some of that might be have to do with the quality of information that he's getting and the quality of the people who are explaining it to him. But at the end of the day, the indications at least are that he appreciates what is happening, even if he doesn't necessarily understand any of it, right? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Grandpa kind of thought this was all magic. But like, he's not getting in the way, and he's saying the right things, and the executive order has a lot of that in it. And fundamentally, I think that matters more to us than whether or not Biden personally really understands what's going on under the hood. If that makes sense.
Changing, or has it been changing the scientific process over the last couple of years? Let's begin with that.
Yeah, this is such an exciting time. Thank you.
Shocker, right? Like I can imagine if someone else was in the presidency, how things would be different.
For having me on this show. And, the world has seen ChatGPT and the power of AI when it comes to language models. But to me, that's just the beginning, because beyond language, we can think of all kinds of scientific processes. And by understanding that through AI, we can do everything better, faster, cheaper, more accurate, and really be able to come up with new inventions and discoveries.
Let's dig into that. What does an AI-enabled lab look like?
Yeah, to me, like AI will completely transform the scientific workflow the way we know it. Ever since the 17th century or even earlier, the way we came up with new inventions or discoveries was somebody has some intuitions, right? They went to the lab, they tinkered, they're like, oh no, this doesn't work. And okay, this works, let's move ahead.
Trial and error.
Right? Exactly. And now think about AI being able to do that in the virtual domain, like being able to accurately simulate many of the processes or learn from data, right? The observations directly. And with that, be able to come.
What up, Reed? Just talked to my aunt about socialism, or aunt. She was super receptive and agreed we need free healthcare, education, housing, and that everyone should be able to be comfortable. That's a win in my book. Yeah. Did you phrase it with the term socialism, or did you talk about policy? Because that's really what it comes down to, like just policy. King shit. You make me happy, Reed. Make me happy. Just talk to people about policy. Don't worry about the isms. Don't worry about the is. Just talk about policy. Yeah, buddy.
Come up with better design, better discoveries than what would have taken really long in the real world.
What's changing the most right now? When you look at the landscape, is there any particular field that you see evolving much more quickly than any other field?
I mean, one thing that we're working on heavily is the Earth-2 project at NVIDIA, where our goal is to...
Like, this is wild. The Earth-2 project, like, first of all, when I think Earth-2, like, I think Counter-Earth from the Marvel universe. I think of Earth-2 from the DC universe. But, like, this is really going all the way back in the day. I used to play Sim Earth, which was a computer program that let you play with the earth. And, like, it was, by today's standards, shit, right? But I spent hours with it, days, like, if you added them all together. Like, that was my jam. And we don't really have anything like that. And they are making that, right? And what we need to do, what someone needs to do, not me, you, needs to take this and gamify it. Because games teach people concepts better than most other things. Because, again, we are creatures of story. We are creatures of narratives. A game creates a narrative
Sim Earth the Living Planet. That's what I'm talking about. That was the game. That was the game that I played. It's, you see how it says 1990 and we're in 2020 goddamn 3? Stories are sacred and we often overlook that. We do. Like, your brain, the way that your brain creates its narrative of the reality around you is telling you stories. It tells you a story of your memory. It doesn't remember one-to-one kind of thing. It creates reference frames and tells you a story of why everything is the way that it is. And like, again, I'm this Sunday I need to remember to bring Hegemony. There's a game, if you want to understand not just like working class politics, but also middle class, state, and capitalist politics. There's a game called Hegemony, and just real quick diversion. This is it. Scores an 8.5 out of 10. Playable with 2 to 4 players. I actually think you can play it with 1 player because there's an automata system contained within it. And you take on you're the working class or the middle class or the capitalist class or the state. And it's about balancing the things that you can do to try and accomplish the goals, and you see where you're in opposition to some entities and where you're in alignment with some entities. And I think it's really good at teaching those concepts to people so it has the impact. And like the workers, the working class, you can go on strike, you know. You can leverage the government to fund more unemployment. There's all sorts of stuff that can happen. As the middle class, you're balancing, you know, the businesses that you're trying to create and run, and at the same time, like, employ people, and you want your jobs to be more competitive so that the working class comes to work for your businesses as opposed to the capitalist or public sector. It's a whole thing. And it sounds complex, but it's really good and really easy to understand. Like, they go out of their way. They provide you videos to learn. It's amazing. The community is amazing. It's just amazing. Oh, SimAnt. I love SimAnt. Yeah. Yeah, this is where City Skylines 2 just dropped. There will be, Reed. Get your AI girlfriend going on. The AI MILF. Sim MILF. Out of this creation spike came SimCity. Because you had SimCity, now you have City Skylines 2 that just dropped recently. There was a timeline there, but only the City Planner one was the one that continued to get iterated. You're a GILF guy? Cool. You do you, boo.
To build very accurate digital twins of this planet. You know, be able to predict not only short-term weather, but also long-term climate change eventually.
The digital twin of the Earth, what is being twinned?
Yeah, all the processes on this planet. Think of like the atmospheric processes of convection currents, storms, right? Even really like fine scale features of cloud turbulence, what's responsible for hurricanes, for instance, how would this hurricane paths change, and can we come up with the right risk assessment? Because these are chaotic systems. These hurricanes can go in so many different ways. Can we really hone in on what is the risk to different human populations based on what we see today? So these cheaper and faster weather forecasts with AI will also enable us to create better probabilistic assessment of extreme weather events.
Let's talk about some of the other fields that AI is making transformations in the scientific process. For example, genomics or even drug discovery. What's going on there?
Oh, it's such an exciting time there because, the same kind of generative AI that we see for language, you can replace the letters of the English alphabet instead with nucleotides. ATGC, if you recall, what makes up our DNA, right? And with that letters, you can now ask the language of the genome and have a model learn that.
So if there are tasks that artificial intelligence can make more efficient or even replace humans in a lab, what's kind of the vibe in the scientific community? Is there as much fear as there is in other industries that AI could take their jobs?
I mean, I don't think it'll happen anytime soon, and maybe never, because humans are such creative beings, right? We're always thinking of the, next unknown question, right? There's so many deep mysteries of the universe. There's so much we still need to understand, and AI is a tool. This will enable lab scientists to rule out a lot in simulation before they can go and do their experiments. So they only need to do a few. But then I feel like there'll be always things that'll be still unknown and to be conquered.
There's a lot of, I don't want to use an unpleasant word, but there are a lot of people who don't believe in things like climate change. And there are a lot of skeptics who believe that science is out to get them, or that, we're all just sitting here lying. Is there work being done that you think could actually win over some of these skeptics? Is there a way to demonstrably show them?
Yeah, I do think all the work we're doing will help towards this.
And again, like to parallel this with what I was saying about things like hegemony or things like, a Sim Earth kind of game, by putting these things in front of people and making the process by which they engage with them far more natural, then you can, people will have a better understanding of these things, and therefore they will be less scary, and they will lean on things that are demonstrably false less, right? The number of games that I have in this room that have some kind of educational component to them is like, I mean, realistically, I could argue that it's 90%, because they'll teach you resource management or something like that, but I have games about evolution of species, right? I have all sorts of different games because, it's a good way to teach people about something. I have a game about the 1917 Russian Revolution, right? You got games on your phone? I do not have the new Spider-Man game. I tend to shy away from games that don't have a multiplayer component. In the short term, old lobster, I think that scientists have the opportunity to have their jobs, because of the creative nature to it, last longest. But yeah, ultimately, I don't care who you are, your job is gone.
Because, this is not some model
And it
that's
should
in
be
some
gone.
supercomputing facility, right? Not available to the public. I mean, you can download this and go try some of this yourself. Just like a video game, you can play the game of climate change one day, right?
Quantum physics.
So everything becomes accessible. At least my hope is, chunk of the community that is curious will have resources online that is much more open, so they feel like they can participate in that.
If you think about the scientific journey that humanity's been on over the last 300 years, it's been quite good. Just take us 10 years from now. Like, how different will things be?
It's been nice.
I think the whole process of scientific research and development will be accelerated many, many times, right? Even orders of magnitude in some areas. And that'll just mean that we can quickly rule out things that don't work and hone in on things that work. Certainly, drugs designed by AI, they're already coming into trials, and that'll just increase fully. Personalized medicine for cancer and all of these, where we really haven't been able to understand.
Yeah, exactly what you just said mirrors something that I've said like 1,000 times on this channel, but also earlier today. It's embrace it, learn to use it, right? If nothing else, you should make a good effort. And I say this to anybody, right? Anybody. Like, there are arguments against AI art, and one of them is the sexy picture of Nancy Pelosi that I saw, and the Marjorie Taylor Greene dressed up as sexy Statue of Liberty. Like, those are, except for you, Reed, I don't know, it might be in your ballpark, but like, the arguments that people make against AI art, the arguments are bad, right? That is usually the issue that comes up because they don't understand how it works. And because they don't understand how it works, their arguments are going to be bad. I make better arguments against AI art. So people need to engage with the AI for their own benefit, to learn how it works, because for the same reason, if you don't have an email address in 1990, whatever the hell it was, when the emails started coming out, it's laughable now to not have an email address, right? Those who get in early understand the way that the thing can go, and just AI makes you better at whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. Generally speaking, it's still not so good in meat space, right? Like, because we don't have the robots, but it can help you be better in meat space. And if you want to know how, you can literally ask it. Take your ChatGPT, take your Claude 2, take your Bard, take whatever you got, and say, this is my whatever, right? Like, whether it's your job that you're doing or something you're trying to accomplish at home or whatever. And just tell it a little bit about yourself and ask how it can help you be better at it. It is literally the easiest thing to work with because you can talk to it. I don't have to tell you how AI works in your life. AI can tell you how it works in your life. Look at the detractors of the PC and cell phones back in the day. I'd rather be wrong on acceptance and wrong in rejection. 100%. AI is too established in the zeitgeist to not be fully realized to some capacity. Absolutely. Like, it is happening. We're in it. It's happening now. Get on board. Because if you don't, you will be left behind by the people who do, in whatever domain you're operating in. Right? It's just going to happen. The next step is that people who use AI are going to replace the people who don't. Be the AI, you work in an office, be the AI guy in your office. I'm the AI guy on Twitch.
Right, for various different targets, how to quickly design drugs. This can make it much faster and also cheaper, because right now so many of these treatments are too expensive to be done at scale. So it'll make this democratized and cheaper.
100%.
And yeah,
Reed.
I think this will hit every area. I don't think any area is immune to this.
I think it will be interesting, won't
And there's a lot of like, gonna antagonize somebody, but there is a lot of conservative thinking in the leftist approach to AI, right? That, like, it goes direct, and look at this computer, Jesus Christ. That's a beast. It's got both floppy drives on it and a CRT. That's a beast. But like they fall for the fallacy of like the dignity of labor, right? Which is capitalist propaganda. And they fall for, this idea that there is something special about humans, that work can only be done by humans. You know what I mean? I automated several systems and passed the info on to my colleague before I had to resign. I made a point to tell my successor that being automated even through AI will assure his provision. Exactly. Right? Like, be the AI guy in your space, or girl, or NB, what have you. Be the AI entity in your space. And see the potential to accomplish the goals that you're trying to accomplish. And I'm sorry, your favorite dead Russian, dead German, dead, whoever, right? Like, they could not have envisioned a magic box that did data analysis. Right? Like, you have to move beyond that. Things have changed. Embrace it. Build systems that work for people.
10 years' time, if it takes the average drug 10 years to come
Welcome
to market,
in, Seven Heavy
and
Seal.
if-
I
and if
like you.
AI systems right now are coming up with some of the potential candidates for a future successful drug, then in 10 years' time, are we going to see a waterfall of new drugs?
I mean, it may not be a huge number, right? Because you can't test all of them. It'll be more
Yeah, my buddy, who he's in data analysis. He uses lots of automation and things like that. And he's talking about NetSuite, and he's talking about this program and that program that they got. And it's like, you could do it all in NetSuite. And somebody got fired the other day, because their data that was coming through and being presented to the bosses was inaccurate, because it wasn't up to the date. Like, it has to do with like product coming in and product going out, and it wasn't including the product that was in the pipeline. And so they were getting these spikes, and it was costing people money and stuff like that. And my guy, trying to tell people and just do his job, and like, the next thing you know, somebody got fired, and now my buddy has the job.
targeted. It will be personalized. It will
actually work.
Exactly. Effective.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank
It's
you,
been
Maud.
fascinating.
All right, that's done with that. What else we got? I feel like I put some new things in here. All right. What's up, Kamala?
It's good to see everyone. Ambassador Hartley, thank you for the warm welcome that you gave us last night and today, and for inviting us to.
What is this audio,
Thank
Forbes?
you for your extraordinary leadership on behalf of the President and me and our country. and it is, of course, my honor to be with everyone here at the United States Embassy in London, as well as to be with former Prime Minister Theresa May, and all of the leaders from the private sector, civil society, academia,
Once a cop, always
and
a
our
cop,
many
my guy.
international partners. So tomorrow I will participate in Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's Global
A
Summit
cab
on
indeed.
AI safety to continue to advance global collaboration on safe and responsible use of AI. Today I will speak more broadly about the vision and the principles that guide America's work on AI. President Biden and I believe that all leaders, from government, civil society, and the private.
I don't know, Lobster. Like, I don't like, I'm very sensitive to people's affectations and mannerisms and things like that. But there's something that you learn from pro wrestling is that some people are good at doing work in the ring, and some people are good at working the mic, and some people are the rare person who can do both. Like your Stone Cold Steve Austin, your Rock, to a lesser extent, like a person like Shawn Michaels. They can do both. But it's rare, right? Some people can nail a promo, right? Macho Man Randy, oh yeah, cream of the crop. Kamala cannot work a mic. Joe Biden can't work a mic. They don't inspire, and it's disappointing.
Private sector have a moral, ethical, and societal duty to make sure that AI is adopted and advanced in a way that protects the public from potential harm and that ensures that everyone is able to enjoy its benefits. AI has the potential
That was a huge
to do
DX mark.
profound good, to develop powerful new medicines, to treat and even cure the diseases that have for generations plagued humanity, to dramatically improve agricultural production, to help address global food insecurity, and to save countless lives in the fight against the climate crisis. But just as AI has the potential to do profound good, it also has the potential to cause profound harm.
What up,
From
Octavia?
AI-enabled cyber attacks at a scale beyond anything we've seen before, to AI-formulated bioweapons.
Yeah, like I mean, fundamentally, the problem with the pandemic as a logistical issue, right? Like, is it prevents people from being at work. It prevents or it increases the costs of people who own businesses, right? And that's why we have what we have, right? Like a good enough system that it can keep the machine as it currently exists rolling along. I don't approve of this, but that is the rationale behind what is going on. We did good enough, and now it's just what we have to deal with, and it's
that could endanger the lives of millions of people. These threats are often referred to as the existential threats of AI, because of course they could endanger the very existence of humanity. These threats, without question, are profound, and they demand global action. But let us be clear, there are additional threats that also demand our action. Threats that are currently causing harm, and which to many people also feel existential. Consider, for example, when a senior is kicked off his health care plan because of a faulty AI algorithm? Is that not existential for him? When a woman is threatened by an abusive partner with explicit deepfake photographs, is that not?
I mean, like, motherfuckers. People have been like, one of the criticisms of AI is that people have been shoehorning some kind of AI in every product that they can possibly get their grubby little mitts on. I make the same critique to people's existential concerns around AI, right? Like the senior getting kicked off their medical plan because of an algorithm is bad, right? Like apparently Kamala and I can agree on that, or Kamala and I can agree on that. But what about all the seniors who get kicked off their plan without an algorithm? Do they not count, right? Like, and this is the thing, but I am less concerned about the disinfo provided by AI and more concerned about the disinfo that exists from humans already. Thank you.
Existential for her? When a young father is wrongfully imprisoned because of biased AI facial recognition.
Oh my God. Kamala, I'd like to introduce you to the U.S. justice system. You should probably start there, where like AI has only recently been involved, and prior to that, there's a lot of people who are in prison who probably shouldn't be. Just saying.
Is that not existential for his family? And when people around the world cannot discern fact from fiction because of a flood of AI-enabled mis- and disinformation, I ask, is that not existential for democracy? Accordingly, to define
Something
AI,
AI acts as a mirror,
I offer
something
that we
something.
must consider and address the full spectrum of AI risk, threats to humanity as a whole, as well as threats to individuals, communities, to our institutions, and to our most vulnerable populations. We must manage all these dangers to make sure that AI is truly safe. So many of you here know my mother was a scientist, and she worked at one of our nation's many publicly funded research universities.
And your dad was a socialist, just saying.
Which have long served as laboratories of invention, creativity, and progress. My mother had two goals in her life: to raise her two daughters and end breast cancer. At a very early age then, I learned from her about the power of innovation to save
Science plus socialist equals cop. That's that's the math.
lives, to uplift communities, and move humanity.
What was that show? Michael J. Fox was on it. Like, they all had the same kind of name. But he played Alex P. Keaton. Alex P. Keaton. Family Ties, right? No, Family Ties. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, right? Like Family Ties, Growing Pains, all they all sound the same in your head. But his father was like, like a hippie, and his mom was like, I don't even remember what they fucking did, but like they ended up with uber capitalist Republican son, and there's something about the rebelling of youth against their parents that opens up this kind of door, and yeah, apparently socialist plus scientist equals
forward.
cop.
I believe history will show that this was the moment when we had the opportunity to lay the groundwork for the future of AI. And the urgency of
What was
this
that?
moment must then compel.
Hold up.
Was the moment when we had the opportunity to lay the groundwork for the future of AI.
It's a simulation. Oh, it was who knows Max Headroom, right? Like that was the Max Headroom right there.
And the urgency of this moment must then compel us to create a collective vision
What up,
of what
Lopez?
this future must be. A future where AI is used to advance human rights and human dignity, where privacy is protected and people have equal access to opportunity, where we make our democracies stronger and our world safer. A future where AI is used to advance the public interest. And that is the future President Joe Biden and I are building. Before generative AI captured global attention, President Biden and I convened leaders from across our country, from computer scientists to civil rights activists to business leaders.
Yeah, no, I've seen that. And yeah, and it's funny in that regard. Yeah, and to an extent, I appreciate those channels for getting out like the concept of AI to people, and that it has certain capabilities. I just wish like there was nothing in the Trump Biden debate channel which was ever going to really develop into something else, and there's only like so much of that you can consume before it just kind of gets old, right? Like even though the jokes are different every time, relatively speaking, it's still like it only does so much, right? Like where Vidal 987 seems to be improving over time and has some other component.
And legal scholars, all to help make sure that the benefits of AI are shared equitably and to address predictable threats, including deep fakes, data privacy violations, and algorithmic discrimination. And then we created
Be nice.
the AI Bill of Rights.
I'll vote for an AI president at this point.
Building on that, earlier this week, President Biden directed the United States government to promote safe, secure, and trustworthy AI, a directive that will have wide-ranging impact. For example, our administration will establish a national safety reporting program on the unsafe use of AI in hospitals and medical facilities. Tech companies will create new tools to help consumers discern if audio and visual content is AI generated. And AI developers will be required to submit the results of AI safety testing to the United States government for review. In addition, I am proud to announce that President Biden and I have established the United States AI Safety Institute which will create rigorous standards to test the safety of AI models for public use. Today, we are also taking steps to establish requirements that when the United States government uses AI, it advances the public interest. And we intend that these domestic AI policies will serve as a model for global policy. Understanding that AI developed in one nation can impact the lives and livelihoods of billions of people around the world. Fundamentally, it is our belief that technology with global impact deserves global action. And so, to provide order and stability in the midst of global technological change, I firmly believe that we must be guided by a common set of understandings among nations. And that is why the United States will continue to work with our allies and partners to apply existing international rules and norms to AI and work.
Again, you're leaving out a component, right? It's fine to work with the people that you're allied and partnered with, but you have to understand and appreciate, because you just made this argument, that domestic AI has global implications. So if China doesn't have a seat at the table, if Russia doesn't have a seat at the table, if other countries that are developing AI don't have some kind of seat at the table, then they will develop whatever they have to on their own or with the partnership of the unloved. And that was, by its very nature, going to lead to conflict. We really need to get past this crap. Right? This is serious 19th century thinking at best.
To create new rules and norms. To that end, earlier this year, the United States announced a set of principles for responsible.
And we accomplished a lot, right? Both the United States and the USSR accomplished a lot in that competition. And then once the competition was over, it was like Sid, I don't want to play with you anymore, kind of thing. It's like, and it led to more than one time where we were real close to just destroying most of humanity. Not all, but most. And a good chunk, and you end up with fallout, right?
Development, deployment, and use of military AI and autonomous capabilities. It includes a rigorous legal review process for AI decision-making and a commitment that AI systems always operate with international and within international humanitarian law. Today,
I can't believe you said that with a straight face.
I am also announcing that 30 countries have joined our commitment to the responsible use of military AI. And I call on...
There's literally no such thing. The only responsible use of military AI is to not do it. But again, you have to bring everyone to the table in order to accomplish that. And you won't, because that's not how this works.
In addition to all of this, the United States will continue to work with the G7, the United Nations, and a diverse range of governments from the global north to the global south to promote AI safety and equity around the world. But let us agree, governments alone cannot address these challenges. Civil society groups and the private sector also have an important role to play. Civil society groups advocate for the public interest. They hold the public and private sectors to account and are essential to the health and stability of our democracies. As with many other important issues, AI policy requires the leadership and partnership of civil society. And today, in response to my call, I am proud to announce that 10 top philanthropies have committed to join us to protect workers' rights.
Philanthropy is not civil society.
Advance transparency, prevent discrimination, drive innovation in the public interest, and help build international rules and norms for the responsible use of AI. These organizations have already made an initial commitment of $200 million in furtherance of these principles.
$200 whole million?
Today I call on more civil society organizations to join us in this effort. In addition to our work with civil society, President Biden and I will continue to engage with the private companies who are building this technology. Today, commercial interests are leading the way in the development and application of large language models and making decisions about how these models are built, trained, tested, and secured. These decisions have the potential to impact all of society. As such, President Biden and I have had extensive engagement with the leading AI companies to establish a minimum baseline of responsible AI practices. The result is a set of voluntary company commitments, which range from commitments to report vulnerabilities discovered in AI models to keeping those models secure from bad actors. Let me be clear. These voluntary commitments are an initial step toward a safer AI future, with more to come. Because, as history has shown, in the absence of regulation and strong government oversight, some technology companies choose to prioritize profit over the well-being of their customers.
No.
The safety of our communities and the stability of our democracies. An important way to address these challenges, in addition to the work we have already done, is through legislation. Legislation that strengthens AI safety without stifling innovation. In a constitutional government like the United States, the executive branch and the legislative branch should work together to pass laws that advance the public interest. And we must do so swiftly, as this technology rapidly advances. President Biden and I are committed to working with our partners in Congress to codify future meaningful AI and privacy protections. And I will also note, even now, ahead of congressional action, there are many existing laws and regulations that reflect our nation's long-standing commitment to the principles of privacy, transparency, accountability, and consumer protection. These laws and regulations are enforceable and currently apply to AI companies. President Biden and I reject the false choice that suggests we can either protect the public or advance innovation. We can and we must do both. The actions we take today will lay the groundwork for how AI will be used in the years to come. So I will end with this. This is a moment of profound opportunity. The benefits of AI are immense. It could give us the power to fight the climate crisis, make medical and scientific breakthroughs, explore our universe, and improve everyday life for people around the world. So let us seize this moment. Let us recognize this moment we are in. As leaders from government, civil society, and the private sector, let us work together to build a future where AI creates opportunity, advances equity, fundamental freedoms and rights being protected. Let us work together to fulfill our duty to make sure artificial intelligence is in the service of the public interest. I thank you all.
What up, Darth Zimby?
President Biden issued an executive.
Yeah. 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 Ow. Ow. I think a lot of people are waiting on, like, this is the UK AI summit that's happening, and a lot of my favorite creators appear to be waiting to see what happens. So, to give you an example, now this is the Sun, which, if I recall correctly, is kind of hot garbage. But
we start with insight. I think there's a lot of concern.
Trigger warning, Elon Musk.
Among people in the AI field that that the government will sort of jump the gun on rules before knowing what to do, and I think that's unlikely to happen. I think what we're really aiming for here is to establish a framework for insight.
He's looking
so
rough.
there's at least a third-party referee, an independent referee, that can observe what leading AI companies are doing, and at least sound the alarm if they have concerns. I don't know what necessarily the fair rules are, but you've got to start with insight before you do oversight. And here we are for the first time, really in human history, with something that's going to be far more intelligent than us.
There's Mustafa Suleiman.
But just as AI has the potential
Oh no, we did
to
that.
do profound good, it also has the potential to cause profound, without question, are profound, and they demand global action.
There is a clear imperative.
And this happened, right? This happened. This is your king?
To ensure that this rapidly evolving technology remains safe and secure. And because AI does not respect international boundaries, this mission demands international coordination and collaboration. To support this global effort, the United Kingdom is proud.
I'm just saying, like, if this was the king, like, I don't know, what, 400 years ago, there would have been a peasant revolt already. Like,
to host this summit in Bletchley Park, the birthplace of modern computing, where Alan Turing famously cracked the Enigma code and laid the foundations for a new digital age. Transitions like the one AI is heralding always present profound challenges, especially in preparing for unintended consequences. It is incumbent on those with responsibility to meet these challenges, to protect people's privacy and livelihoods.
I love that we live in a world where suit guys and hoodie guys are hanging out together,
which are essential to both our economic and psychological well-being.
Yeah, why don't you handle your home shit, Adam? Right? Like, why don't you take care of your own business before you go talking shit about our, shit. What up, Boyd? Yeah. 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 Yeah, fuck that guy. You trust this guy? No. All right. I don't know. Anytime anybody asks if I could trust that guy, I say no. I can imagine, Lobster. So yeah, I'm searching for content. Like, here's Poppy talking about artificial intelligence. I don't give a shit what Poppy has to say about artificial intelligence. And then everything is like, my choices are meaningless or like stuff that we already touched on or like an hour and a half long. That's from 5 days ago. Do 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 do. And there's like so much garbage coverage that exists within the AI space. I can't tell you. Like, I'm probably doing myself damage by having to tread through some of this crap just so you don't have to. It is. It's really bad. It's really bad. 2 days ago. Johnny Cash, Taylor Swift. I don't know which one, but there's this. This is old though, 5 months ago.
Isn't it a place you can get to by a boat or a train? Is far, far away. Behind the moon. Beyond the rain.
It's so good.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, bees fly, boots fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh why can't I?
You can tell that my YouTube is freaking out for some reason because at the bottom here it says UK's AI Safety Summit. Minecraft door. No, get out of here. What was wild, that Nordic business forum featured this song by There I Ruined It. Like, I've been followed there. I ruined it since they started. Oh, you haven't heard this?
Hello, I'm not Johnny Cash. I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. Life in plastic, it's fantastic. You can brush my hair, undress me everywhere. Oh, come on, Barbie, let's go party, 'cause I'm in a Barbie world. If you wanna be my lover, you gotta get with my friend. Make it last forever, friendship never ends. I put my hands up to playing my song, the butterflies fly away. Yeah, 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 it's a party in the USA. This is what you guys call music? Well, I'll be damned.
But I love you.
Well, if they free me from this AI, if my voice was only mine, I bet I'd move it on a little farther down the line. Far from Barbie world, that's where I want to stay. Oh, come on, Barbie, let's go party and take my blues away.
Oh. All right. I think we're going to wrap for today. Yeah, we try to have fun around here. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for stopping in and, participating. Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Hold on. No. There was a Vegeta cover of Hoobastank, and I thought it was really good, and then the internet took it away from me, and now I'm mad. I think we're gonna raid David. Now he's got this long ass goddamn name. Not David Shapiro. David Shapiro doesn't stream. Though Matt Wolf did stream, but I missed it. Anyways, yeah. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern. All the AI robot content you can handle. Usually we go about 3 hours. But like I've had a long day and I kind of ran out of content. I kind of ran out of content, and I don't like to waste your time. I'm going to kick you over to somebody else. So, I appreciate y'all. Drink your water. Eat your dinner, breakfast, lunch. Take your meds if you forgot. And always, always remember that Shoggy loves you, and so do I. Be good.